Welcome back to Where is the Money? So I'm sure you heard by now that President Donald Trump has decided to fire the commissioner of the BLS.
President Trump was not happy and he fired the BLS commissioner.
The numbers were ridiculous, which he announced.
When they keep being revised all over the place, then there are going to be people that wonder if there's a partisan pattern in the data.
Here's how the BLS collects this data, why the revision was so dramatic, and what this means for the future of BLS data.
Now, needless to say, economists will agree that this adds a level of uncertainty into the market that wasn't already there. A lot of companies and agencies across the world rely on this data to determine how well the economy is doing in order to make market decisions and hiring decisions across the board. So for Donald Trump to do this, now we're in uncharted territory.
Trump literally just fired the person who counts job numbers in America because Trump had a bad jobs report. It's like going to the doctor and he shows you a scan of a tumor in your body and says, "I'm sorry, you have cancer," and you go, "I do not have cancer, you're fired." Fire him or not, the cancer is still there. And in Trump's particular case, the cancer of the American economy is tariffs. I can explain in 10 seconds why Trump's tariff approach is killing jobs. Employers affected by tariffs don't know the long-term impact of their budget, therefore they can't budget for new employees, therefore they don't hire new employees. And then you get bad job numbers. Firing the person in charge of counting jobs numbers does not solve your problem. Fixing your numbskull approach to tariffs, that might be a start.
So right out the gate, it sounds like he fired this individual because he did not like the numbers. He had no problem with the Bureau when they were giving them high job report numbers the last 2 months. All of a sudden this month, it dropped to a low record. All of a sudden, you can't rely on it. Seems a little suspicious. Now, some people saying this is him trying to change it in his favor because he wants to hide the fact that the tariffs are having more of an impact on the economy than he wants to admit from his administration. Now, some would say that is purely a dictator move.
So recently, Donald Trump fired the BLS chief, the individual that gives the U.S. jobs report, because it shows that there is a slowing down in our economy. Folks, this is stuff straight out of a dictator's playbook. Anytime in history that a dictator was given news that was contrary to the facade that they were trying to create for their populace, they got rid of the individual. Whether it was a military person, economic person, government person, you name it, they got rid of him because it ran awry of whatever facade they were trying to create. But what Donald Trump fails to realize, you've been playing hopscotch with tariffs since January, which in of itself is bad economics, to the degree that he's trying to implement tariffs on China, India, the European Union, Canada, Mexico, some of our top trading partners. As if that's not going to make corporations that are hiring people in the U.S. a little nervous. You've fired thousands of federal workers, right, who play a pretty massive role, especially in the economy of the DMV. What did you expect? For this to remain sunshine and roses the entire time? And so now you want to fire the individual that's giving you a dose of reality about your piss-poor economic policy. You really can't make this stuff up.
The one thing experts, both inside and outside of the BLS, don't think it is politics.
I could not change the numbers. I had no access to the input data, to the programs, to the preliminary results, to any of that. None of that.
The upper bound of my influence was 0. I didn't see the data until Wednesday morning. By that time, there was no way I could have influenced that data.
The best way to make revisions less drastic, they argue, is to get this completion rate for the first report higher. While responding to the survey isn't mandatory under federal law, it is mandatory in these states. Incentives for responding and improved delivery systems could also help, but there's a fear that the response rate won't go up if these businesses think their data might be used for politics.
Anything that erodes trust is really bad for the statistical system, but the most important thing is it's bad for the country because this is infrastructure that supports many of the most important decisions that companies make. So this is a big deal.
President Trump needs to appoint a sterling individual who will come in to restore trust and quality and improve BLS.
So we hear a little bit of what the administrators are saying and a little bit of what the talking heads on the news are saying, but how does that affect the everyday person? Let's get into that piece.
And you've been tracking tariffs closely since the very beginning. What do you think this latest tranche of tariffs is going to do to the prices of everyday products?
Yeah, so I think over the next 2 to 3 years, you would see overall prices rise by just under 2% overall. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot to a normal person, but let's keep in mind that 2% is the Federal Reserve's annual inflation target. So this is like getting an extra year's worth of inflation on top of what we normally would have gotten. For the average American family, that would be the equivalent of $2,400 per household per year. So that's meaningful. And it's going to hurt lower income families more than higher income families because they're more vulnerable to tariffs. I think even in the short run, even by the end of the summer, you might start to notice price increases in key import sensitive items, especially during back to school shopping.
The whole point of the job report numbers, the CPI, and all of these different numbers across the board is to determine how well the economy is. Are they hiring people? Are they not? Are jobs cutting back? Are they not? Are they laying off? How does that affect the prices at the grocery store, the prices when you buy a vehicle, the tariff rates? How does that affect our everyday cost of living? That's what we want to know. So according to this professional, he's saying that by the end of summer, we could be seeing some significant increases within our budget spending and totaling $2,400 a year added to your already stressed budget for everything just to live. So the notion that this is not a tax is kind of hard to sell when we're seeing drastic increases from literally every part of living.
Today, Donald Trump fired somebody, and it was for what reason, you might ask? Doing their job. The Commissioner of Labor Statistics, Dr. Erica McIntarf, was fired because Donald Trump didn't like what she had to say. So the job growth wasn't as great as what Donald Trump wanted it to be, and was mad that she reported that the job growth wasn't as good as what they were hoping it to be. And he says, you guys are making me look bad, and this is for political gain, and you're a Biden employee, so you're gone. You're fired. That's what he did. Like, oh my gosh. It's like, dude, they just report what is the facts. And guess what? You can't get mad at the facts when your policies are the reason why the job growth has slowed down. Wow. It's almost as if that you should fire yourself because you're the cause of it. So this agency that is like renowned worldwide and everything and is, down the middle, is not political at all. It's being accused of, being in this like political conspiracy against Trump, which is like, oh my gosh. So now you're going to have all these people wondering, it's like, so if I report something negative about Trump that's actually true, I'm going to get fired. Okay. Donald Trump already said that he's going to find somebody that will give more accurate numbers. We all know what that means.
With these tariffs, we have not seen the real impact yet. So whatever you're spending on every other part of life, watch out for the increase of the tariffs. Some have already kind of started in your grocery stores and Walmart and things like that, but it's gonna be more. So tighten up your budget. We're gonna be in for a bumpy ride. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where Is the Money? Talk to you soon.